This is Castle Library, a multiplayer deathmatch map for Quake created for my Game Design 2 class. The previous version of this map was referred to as Passageways. This is the main circular room where players are intended to go to. There is a spawn located here and a couple around the map. There are no spawns above, which is a platform that adds verticality to the map where players can go up there to attack players from above. And the intended reason for players to actually go above is because these weapons and armor that are located on top of these bookshelves are only able to be obtained if the player jumps down and is able to land onto these areas. It's possible to jump from the tallest tower to the medium one to the smallest one if the players are able to jump down correctly. For players who miss jumps, they are able to get what is lying down here with a set of armor, a weapon, and there's also health located here for players who come through these other doorways around the map. There are 2 doorways from below that players are able to enter the room from. Because this map takes place in the underground level of a castle, I wanted it to look very dark, which is why there are dark corners in this room where there's limited lighting, and enough that you would be able to spot a player, but still enough where there are shadows being cast. And this is because it would take place during the medieval time, and also because it takes place underground, so it would have dim lighting. Because of that, there are also columns located around the map. These columns, as you can see, look worn down. There are parts that are broken. There are messages engraved onto them, signifying their age and their significance. These are supposed to be supports. So there are supports holding up the platforms above, and these go around all throughout the level. The walls are stone, and their ceilings are made out of wood. Now, the floor is also made out of wood, but this wood has a lot of green and cracks in it, as opposed to the wood above, which looks fairly new. The reason for these is because of these platforms and their height, they would most likely be updated very often if this was a real castle, for fear of people falling through the floorboards. Since this is most likely the lowest level of castle, the floor would be very rotten and maybe cracked because it wouldn't be replaced as often. And because of its location underground, it'd be most likely very damp down here, which would not be a great condition for books. But considering the fact that this part of the level is kind of forgotten about, it makes sense that the books were left there. So the floor has a lot of green to it to show it's rotting. And what I think is pretty cool with the texture that I chose for the walls is that there's green here too, which I think looks very similar to what moss would be like. Now, these are arches that I actually ended up adding later on to the map that I think help make this place look a lot more grand. Here's a shorter hallway where there are these pillars. Now, these pillars aren't just for aesthetic reasons. They're also there for cover to shield the player from other players. Players are able to duck behind these pillars to hide from shots and are able to sneak around the map if they're trying to sneak up on a player. Now, this is one of the larger rectangular rooms that resembles most like a library. This room has a lot less lighting, as you can see with this dark corner over here, which is intended to keep the torches away from books, because that would pose as a fire hazard. But it's also to make this part of the level a lot more interesting. Now, I wanted to add a couple landmarks to the map to make these rooms a lot more identifiable, which is why one of the rooms is the circular room and the other room is the big library, which this would be the large library. Players are able to use these walls here with the books to dodge and hide from players who are shooting at them, but also as a way to sneak up on other players and go around them. As you can see, there are a lot of dark corners around this map, making it easy to hide, and there was actually a weapon here that the player is able to pick up. This one shoots nails. Now this is the next archway. This hallway is a lot longer, but it is broken up by a staircase where another weapon is located. Now players can spawn pretty close by here, which is why there are weapons so that no player is at a disadvantage, but the best weapons and armor are located in the middle. This area is really fun for players to play around, as shown previously in playtesting. Players are able to attack each other going on the stairs. Because there's limited cover in this area, players do have to watch the corners, try to make sure that no one is trying to sneak up on them while they're trying to go up the stairs. And players are actually not able to fit under here, so there's no camping that would happen in this area. But after players go into this area, they're pretty much safe, other than players who reach the bottom are trying to go up. This leads to the top room, and there's actually another doorway through there that leads to another staircase. There are a couple of items actually up here that players can gather. This is mostly a lot of ammo that players can grab. There isn't really ammo placed on throughout the map. And there is actually some health here. And the reason for that is to lure players into this area. Players are going to want to go up so they can get weapons and ammo. There's actually one other location that has ammo that players would be able to obtain. But what I noticed in the previous issue in the first version of the map of the gray box I had was that around the second playtesting, an issue for a lot of players was the fact that there weren't enough ammo and that there wasn't enough weapons on the map. So adding them up here would just make this more of a focal point for players being drawn to this area. Now, if you look down, you can see the items floating on the bookshelves. The reason for this, as mentioned, is that players are kind of drawn to try to jump down to get these items. Players are able to, I can't pick this up because I picked up a breastplate earlier, but players are able to jump onto these shelves and get the items from above. Now, there's also actually lighting placed right where each item's spawn point is up here, and that's to draw players' eyesight up. Especially with the larger bookshelves like this one, you may not notice that there's something up there currently. There's something floating there because I picked it up. But when there's light there, it draws the player's eyes up and they're able to spot this. They can also spot the opening up there. So let's just retrace our, oh, I went the wrong way. But retracing our steps to where the previous staircase was, so it just can show you everything going on from that way. Players are able to continue traveling down this hallway if they so choose to. This room is fairly empty. It's very small, and I chose not to add too much cover into this area because players are either able to duck down here in the hallway and hide here and past columns, or they're able to kind of hide around this corner right here, waiting for enemies to come up. But I chose not to add too much cover to this room because it is a very small room. Now, there is health located here, so if fights do come up, especially around this area, there is health for players to be able to regain some of their health back. Sorry, my mouse accidentally slid up, but it adds that opportunity that so instead of players being able to hide behind things, they're able to re-heal themselves quickly if they need to. Now this is another area, this is actually where the second staircase is located. Now this staircase does not have an opening on the sides that would put players in a position where they could be attacked or they could attack others. The other staircase actually is pretty useful. It's also adding more verticality to the map with the sides. But this one is very hidden. There are corners that players can duck down behind. And there's also this room right here. So this room has an empty shelf that would most likely be used for storage, or that is currently empty, or it had books previously that were taken out. But there is actually some health here and some ammo that the players are able to pick up. There is some more ammo here located that players are able to get if they need to, and that's just to space it out. This is one of the other larger rooms. Now this room is fairly empty except for this rock formation here. It does have a weapon here that players are able to pick up as for players who spawn here. Now this piece of rock here isn't just to use as cover for the players. Players are actually able to climb up onto this formation and use it as a level of verticality and able to shoot at their enemies from above. It does take some time to get up here, so it would not be the best use in a fight that's happening at the moment, but players have some time and there are no players within sights. They're able to climb up here. Now, standing up above here does put them within the sight line of these two entrances, so they are able to spot approaching enemies a lot faster and able to react to it. It does prove a disadvantage because they're not out of cover, but being above here, they can quickly attack a player, jump off quickly, and continue shooting and ducking behind the cover, letting them be able to hit the player more than once in one row. This is just another short hallway leading back to the main circular room. Now I'm just gonna go back and retrace my steps to go to the other staircase just to show you more on what that looks like. It's pretty simple, pretty similar to the other one. If you go through here, it leads to the other room, and this is where the center is again. And so this is the first version of, or not the first version, this is the first time I've actually worked on a map for Quake. And this is what my final version of the map ended up looking like. If I continue to update this map, there are definitely a couple things I want to change. I do want to make parts of the map look a little bit better. Some these arches are a little bit off. It's hard to get them to look straight and fit amongst the walls. I'd probably add some more cover options and maybe um, things that would help the map stand out a little bit more. I would like to add more verticality in the map. I did try to previously, while working on the map, add a couple of places above here that would connect to the circular room where players are able to use beams that were going across the ceiling to be able to shoot down players. But I had a lot of issues with spacing with that, where it didn't seem to fit very well. But if I could, I would actually add a bunch of probably secret doors. I would love to be able to create secret passageways with bookshelves, and that was something I was considering with my original passageways map, but I do like what my map ended up looking like. And so to end this video, I'm just going to go back to my previous position of where the player spawned in, mostly because yeah, I missed that jump and lost some health in the process. But it's fine because there's health that I can pick up here. So I guess you guys got to see why there was actually a health pickup here, other than just this being a main area for the player to be drawn to. And this is where I'm going to end this video. Thank you.